She's on Bay Degree, which is the Bay, and so then that's Lake Superior.
Do you have enough time?
Bell,
Nope.
and the river that flows in.
It's not right now.
Pacelli said he wasn't gonna be there, but
Bay
No,
frontage. and
If
river
Nadesky shows
where they
up,
keep
we'll have to.
yeah.
Right. Sweet.
Yes.
Hmm?
She can tell it, right? She can be on board.
Bring,
I
bring
got
the
no cars.
police. Bring the police in.
We're down in the.
You were good if the other guy shows up.
Right.
Whatever, we are ready.
6:15.
Somebody phone in. Randy, this is your new oath for here.
Okay.
You've already taken the oath, so if you just sign it and go, and then I'll sign it.
Gotcha.
You can sign my check while you're at it. It'd be great.
I got two of them.
I wish they would be.
Oh, this is for the, oh, the planning commission, but as well, council, so that's,
Right.
got it.
Did you hear what our Clinton County Planning Commission is going to do?
Not this week.
No, we, well, we have an advisory board looking over.
Oh,
the
right,
ordinance
yeah.
for Solar and wind,
Yep,
so
I
every
knew
other
that.
Thursday I get to go
I've heard they're long.
2.5 hours, they're scheduled. And I thought last time we'd get out early, but it's just a lot of conversation. And so at 8:30, I'm like, we're done.
And so that was the first one you went to was really long.
Yes, and it was warm and it was, yes.
Well, you guys just want to talk about these things and we can't really take any action until a fourth member shows up. but-
Why don't you guys, right, have you had a chance? Have you
No.
looked at the plan?
No.
Then we take this up.
Come on over.
I might as well take a little look.
Let's see what's we got going on.
So let's do some introductions.
All right,
That'd be good. I'll fly.
be all official.
Yeah, why don't you guys, I mean, I don't think they know who you are, so.
So I'm Maggie Sales. I am on the school board. I'm vice president of our school board. I've been on the board for 20 years.
I think this is our new guy coming right now, so we'll have an actual quorum.
Oh, okay, then I'll start over. I'll start over. Goodbye.
Michael,
Come on in.
Sorry,
welcome.
a minute late.
How you doing? Good to see you.
I'm Scott. Good to meet you.
We were just doing introductions, so I'm Paula Willoughby. Nice to meet you.
I'm Randy, Craig. Feel free to sit with me, so I'm not by myself over here. Nice to meet you.
You can sit wherever you want. Yep.
Are you waiting for others?
Nope, I don't think
Well,
anyone else.
Let's go ahead and let's do the meeting and then we'll have you go through this at the appropriate.
You girls ready to go live in
Okay.
there?
Okay,
All right, then.
sorry, we're yanking you all around.
Oh, that's fine. You got, that's all
We're
right.
all ready to go.
Okay,
All right, I guess I will call the meeting to order, seeing as that Tony is not here. So want to open the floor to public comment. Does anybody have any public comment? Anybody online? All right,
Nope.
can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting? From the April 17th.
I make that motion.
In a second?
I wasn't here for it, but
Oh, I will second it then. I
sorry.
guess that would be it. So, any discussion, any questions? Did you guys get a chance to read through them? See if you had any?
I read through it earlier today.
All right, all in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
All right.
All opposed, say aye. Okay, the minutes have been approved. Paula, with your okay, I want to have them go
I would
first.
definitely do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, so I'm gonna add something to the items of business. As you know, we're in the process of, we have an agreement with the school to do a parking lot over here where the storage areas were. We have Maggie Sales, who's from the school board here, and
I'm Greg Petru. I'm with Kebs. We
Yep,
did the
that's-
survey.
yep. And they're gonna discuss the plan and what we're doing and where we're at and all those good things, so.
Yeah.
So I'll let you, Maggie, take
All
it.
right. So actually, I think this goes back to the previous mayor, and we talked about when that lot went up for sale. What it would be, we were approached by, I don't know who approached who, but we're like, yeah, so this is called Project Pave Paradise and put up a parking lot. And I'm sticking to that. So we have gone through multiple phases. First, we bought the property. The buildings have been leveled. That was delayed quite a bit for things, but you see where it's at now. It's leveled. And so now we're at the stage of want to get the collaboration back and on point to continue moving forward. Our goal, which is going to be really tight, is to have it complete by the first day of school, which I believe is either August 21st or 24th. I can't remember what day it is, but and so if you haven't seen this, guys, I would ask that you actually come up and look at it.
And he's probably brought another one too.
Yeah, I have full size.
Or you can look at it here, wherever, because
Mark is gonna bring it over.
Yeah, here, you can just take a look at this.
he's got all the
Slide
technical,
over there.
Greg's got, it knows all the technical questions.
I've
So,
seen it, so you guys can go take a look at it.
you know, you see Grand River, we're gonna leave the roads, right? We're not moving things like that. No.
No roads are getting.
So this is the big space right here. And this is gonna end up with what we said, 50.
You guys can move that closer if you know, I mean, it's not a big deal, but that thing is just really fancy, so be careful.
Yeah, that's right. More than one.
Okay,
Back it up like a Tonka truck.
so, you know, we've worked on this, we've had an original. We weren't real thrilled with it. They went back. We've shared a couple times with Paula through, you know, your city transition, and we're ready. The school district's ready to go out for bids. So again, what we're looking for from you guys is say, hey, this makes sense. We need to continue on it because the idea is this parking area will be mostly school during the day, but if there's empty spots, it's going to be public parking. And then just think of, you know, a block from the park, a block from, you know, downtown. It's going to provide up to, I think, 50. Is that right?
Yeah, I can look right here. I think it's in
I can't read.
41 proposed.
41 spot. So, but then the big thing for the school district and for the congestion that always happens here is that this will become a one-way street. You know, this is a house that sits there. So we've got and that property is owned by a private resident. So, and so the buses will like go here,
They basically circle around.
circle here. So they're not going to be doing this or doing this up through here. This will be closed off. Is that correct? As
That's
a
correct.
thoroughfare. And there's going to be a walkway here. So if kids want to can be dropped off here, they'll walk over here to the building. But this will be the flow for pickup and drop off. Okay?
For school.
For school buses, correct. So you guys, you probably don't care about that, but I gotta think that if you're,
We definitely care about that.
but,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, wrong choice of words, sorry.
So parents will still come in the way they do.
Yeah, so parents would come in this way and drop their kids off here. But now we're not gonna have where the buses were, you know,
They
they're
were
both trying to
crossing each other.
converge.
Double
Yeah.
congested.
So we're gonna
Yeah,
put
there
a
was
walk, we're gonna put a walk all through here and then the parents can just come out and the buses and stay.
And there used to be another driveway there too, so there was all sorts of good stuff going on there. Yikes.
Well, I went to a lot of schools in my prior career and the bus loops that are separate from the other parking is always works better.
So,
Completely separates the confusion and keeps the buses and the vehicles separate.
I got if we showed this to the board and, who've all had kids go through elementary school or the EC, and it just is, it just makes sense. So we want to give kudos to the architects who kind of drew this out. Now, there's plenty of things that talk about all the technicalities that go with this. I'm not the technical person. If you have those, that's why we've asked Greg to come in and be support here and answer any questions. I did get a text from Matt today, And they have started, and I think you were the one who put the kind of cost proposal together, or were you working on that? Mike Smith was working with.
Yeah, I sent it to him. Just to
Yeah.
take a look.
So they're looking at the parking lot. The parking lot without fence and electricity is gonna run between $300,000 and $350,000. So we are looking for some financial commitment from the city. That's what the board is looking for there. How can, and I don't know what the city finances are. I sit out in Victor Township. And so, you know, whatever your process is to say, hey, great idea, let's go with it. Cause if we want to get started, we want to start putting out bid. But when the mayor came to, we held a special meeting, and you know, he wants to make sure that the process is followed, that you guys are taking care of, that the planning commission is aware of it and blesses it, and then it's got to go back and work on what kind of funds is it? Hey, we're going to commit 150,000. We're going to pay for the whole thing because we're so flush with money. You know, we can hear that from you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So those are the kinds of things we are looking for. Again, this has been in process for a couple of years. You guys had transition, the board has had some transition, but we've always kept it moving, and now it's fast and furious.
So a couple things that we had to work out, and I don't know where you've gotten with it, Paula, but there was a 5 foot by 20 foot chunk of land that Frontier owned, right? And you got a hold of somebody to make progress with them.
So, my last email with them today, I'm trying to find a deed for them because they don't even think they actually own it. So I think they're willing to just abandon it and give it to us at this point,
Okay.
but we have to figure out what that looks like and how that happens.
I mean, if we have it on our plan, there's a good chance our surveyors pulled something that we may have, like a document.
If you got something,
I'll look.
yeah, we're gonna start looking for, but I mean, that ownership may go back to when the telephone actually started. Because that building that used to sit there was like in the 1800s, like there was like a GTE building there, like the old.
Mr. Bell owned this?
The
at
old
time?
switchboard, you know? And literally the email I got today was that they're not even sure they own it. They can't even figure out why. But somebody is paying, like, if we have a special,
Yes.
I mean, I've sent them, you know, so. But anyways, it sounds very either, you know, $500 or they're gonna give it to us. So I feel like, I think we're on the right track here. So,
Okay, all right. I
We
know
should-
you're pushing that, and if you need any sort of assistance with that, let me
If
know.
they have
because-
something that their surveyors dug up, that'd be great. Otherwise, I think that, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how we just transfer ownership if they don't own it. So I
Yeah.
guess then we gotta figure that out.
And then the other thing was the telephone pole right on the edge of where the buses come out. There's a guy wire that goes down into where did we ever figure out who owns that?
No, I think that, when they bid this out, that we're gonna have to have a pre-construction meeting and have
Oh, yeah.
utility companies come.
Okay.
And I think we need to figure out what they wanna do there, but I think that, if
Yeah.
it's not necessary, because it's not the power companies and it's not WOWs, so it either has to be Daystar or Frontier. That's the only other options, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's gotta be one of those two,
Mhm.
so, but
Are you
have-
able to pull anything on that and see who might have that guide wire there
I
too?
will try, but
Okay.
those are sometimes hard to figure out.
Yeah,
But yeah, so that's what I found out in my research of it, so I can get a hold of Daystar, I think. Frontier is, the lady I'm talking to has nothing to do with that, so.
Yeah,
She would
okay.
not know anything about the polls, but I can try that same emergency number, that's how I finally got a hold of her.
all right.
So if nobody claims responsibility for that, where do we go with that?
Well, the engineers will have to figure that out, but I
Okay.
mean, we just can't remove other people's guidelines.
Right, no, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's right. That's where, exactly where it was.
But we can pave this. Let's just get that out of there.
Yeah, we should be able to
Consider
pay
it.
paradise right there, for sure.
Yeah.
So, the only thing you mentioned, the no electric in that bid, and no fence, I think that we're gonna want both of those in
Like,
there.
I agree, but we want to get started with the.
Absolutely,
With
but I
the
think
ground,
that,
so we wanted to get that first off, and we're working with Mike Smith, local as our, a manager on this and helping us keep it all together and working with Ron Underhill from the school. And so he's very good and local and gets it here, so.
We use them often.
Yeah, and we're very excited to be able to partner with the city again. We did the recycling center. And that's a beautiful thing. I talk about it all the time. It's something that there's nothing else like it in the state of Michigan, the partnership and how it's working. And how it's filling up and oh my gosh, now what do we do? But this is our main thing, and I'm not sure what your next steps are to, I'm sure there's internal discussion and then budget discussion, and I would
So the budget discussion will be more of the city council.
and that's not now till August, correct?
Till August
So,
First Monday of August.
There's no, yeah,
But I think once it, I think that you have to bid it out to really know what it's gonna cost.
well, and that's my thought is we should start on the bid process and look to get solid final figures, to keep it to that 300,000 if we can, as opposed to the 350 and lock costs in on asphalt and whatever else, and the cement curves and all of the curves and all of that. So,
But if we do want electric in there, they'll have to put that in before they pay that, right?
They can always put some conduit. and
Social
make it-
science.
No, I'm just saying.
yeah, they'll have to do it.
So I feel like the electric really, because we're gonna have lights in there, and then, what
Yeah.
if we decide to put like a sign or something down there? that
Yeah,
lights
yeah,
up or something, so I think we should make sure that.
Yeah, I think together, we can look at like this corner again, what do we landscape that to match what the city does? And, so it really fits into everything downtown.
Mark Frank from the DDA brought up to me the day that maybe we could put a sign there that kind of matches the sign that the ECEC middle school has
Oh, okay.
and put city events on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
You know,
And
Like a
again,
bullet point.
yeah, those are the things that would
Sure.
definitely be electrical, how's it work, and,
Right.
where does it get controlled and all of that, but absolutely, because people see it. People see it, it's very visible. So,
Do you intend that like by the first Monday of August, that you'll have actual bids for the project for the council to review?
I believe we'll have bids in the next week if we put them out there and give them 7 to 10 days to come back to us.
And we can have it include the electrical and that's for us to review the.
And we just wanted to give you that basic, because we didn't have numbers, because what we would have done and would have continued on is we would have gone out for bid. And then, brought it to the board and said, because, I guess that we've kind of been looking at this as, even though it's a partnership, is we want to make sure this works for the school, especially this part. We want to make sure this works for both of us, if that makes sense,
Yep.
right?
the big reason for doing it was to improve the ingress and egress from the school.
Correct.
And provide
And
parking,
provide parking,
but that's.
right. So,
This is a random thought here too,
yeah.
and I'm sure it's already been reviewed, but the distance around where the buses are gonna go, how many buses are there? Like, we do know, right, that all the buses can fit in that U-shaped loop that we're not creating, is that?
Correct.
Hopefully
Yeah, I
correct.
think they said there was like 7, wasn't that?
yeah, we have a total.
6 or 7.
It's just one thing.
But that's if we have a bus driver for all of them. So we're always looking for bus drivers.
But for
Want to put
all
that
the
out
buses
there.
can take.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I could even
Yep.
put like a bus stack in there. if you want to
But,
see.
I mean, I don't need to see it, but I just want to, I don't think we want, obviously, kids loading in buses down the street.
And that's why we left the design to the experts who have, figured all that out. How big's the bus? How tall is the bus? Where does we need walkway for kids? So it's, yeah, you wouldn't want me to sketch.
Go ahead, sorry.
Like a couple things. Right now, if you go down Woodhull, when it gets to Grand River, there's a bump out. We've talked about removing that, right?
It's right here.
Yep,
Yeah, we can do that.
and
You
just
still
making
want to
it
do that?
yeah,
Just kind of something like,
Oh,
you're talking something like.
I think Dan,
To add more parking.
well, no, actually,
clearance for the.
clearance for the buses,
The
right?
buses.
And the parking spots on Woodhull, on the east side of Woodhull are going away.
Which we're just gonna do a traffic, that really shouldn't have anything, I don't think, to do with construction, but.
Right, right.
Yeah.
We're just
So
gonna
just
do
go
a traffic
planning-
control order.
Planning committee knows, right?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I like the idea of doing a sign. It'd be a good spot to put a sign in, right? And the fence is very important to the city. Just.
Absolutely, and I will say that, and that's where we can look at, what's the fence that matches, what matches park, so it looks
Right.
part of the downtown, and those are things that whoever's gonna put this all together, I'm just here to bring your attention to
Right.
this and say, this is what we want to do. I believe we, will probably start putting bids out and see how quickly we can get them in and what those look like. And I know we could at least get started on the parking lot with bids. Now, the fence and electrical again, I just don't know enough about it to know. So,
But I think the electrical will have to be included in the bid.
and I will say, when Paula started working on this, those couple of years ago, and she was quite clear that we want to partner with you, don't know if we can completely match all the money. We heard that, okay? So yes, would we like half? Would we like full? Yeah. Would you take care of us? Absolutely. But we're gonna get this done, okay? We really do need the financial support though, from the city to make it top notch, which is what you guys want to see.
And I think that, it's already better just having those buildings gone. I mean, it's like you can see the school, it's just, it's better. And I think all of us agree that we want this project to happen. So I think that, we were a little bit like, okay, we don't know if this is gonna be 500,000 or is it
Right.
not, And so that was our concern is like,
Right,
as you're gonna move forward with the bids, even if it's gonna be more, we would like to include a fence and electrical.
and when you say fence, is that all the way around it? I mean,
No,
is
just
what
in
you're
that
thinking, or-
property, by that property
Right
line
here.
there.
Around the house,
I
around
think-
the house.
No, just separating that house, the residents.
There's a fence right here, and I had proposed one.
Yeah.
And so
proposed
I
in
would
there.
say a privacy fence.
I think that nice
6
white
foot.
fence that we have
Yeah, I mean-
several places would be,
Yeah,
And McClintock, the white one.
yep, the white one we
Yes.
put up over here. We have the white one over
Yeah.
by the other parking
and
lot.
see, those are
That
great
would
things
match.
when it gets bid and we say go,
Yep.
or when we're looking at now fencing and electrical. That's where we gotta really say, okay, how do we match this up?
Right.
We know that,
Right.
so, and that might not get, well, I don't know how electrical works under cement and all of that stuff, but
They could do conduit, they could put plastic conduit and then run the wires at a later time.
Yeah.
You just have to plan it out.
so,
I mean, that's kind of what I was just thinking is that their contractors are gonna need to know that we want electrical.
so I don't know, like, I'm not sure what the city needs to do, bless us going forward. I mean, we've got that estimate, 300 to 350. We would like to get bids put out and start that immediately. We can share what that looks like with you when we get final, but, had that. And have a go time. If we can get those bids back in 10 days, 2 weeks, I don't know how long it takes to put a bid together. But I know that Mike's been working with people because, and we, like I said, we really hope to get it done, but hope is not a strategy. So, we're planning on having that done. And, the setback at this time is this is not a huge project in the construction world. We hope we can get the people in to get it done. So, the bid will go out appropriately with dates and timelines and things like that.
So we have money allocated, set aside for it.
350,000?
No, no.
Sorry,
some,
error.
But we have some,
Okay,
so.
and it's probably best to, we can talk about that, when if you want to shoot me out an email, say, we do have some set aside, we'll see what that looks like. Yeah, but we want to get going, at least on the bids, and see how quickly we can put this in. So
from the planning committee, anybody have any questions from how are we going to, what's it gonna look like? Changes that you think should be made? Does it fit what we want to do for the city? That type of thing?
I think it's a great idea. I'm glad that the buses are being separated. And by the looks of it, you could probably fit 10 buses in that loop if you needed to.
Yeah, I think it was like,
You can double stack them easy.
Another double-
We don't have 10 buses.
yeah, we
We
won't.
only have 10 bus drivers.
But that's, in other words, that's plenty of room, and I think it's a great idea to separate the traffics.
Yeah.
And the suggestion the mayor had of getting rid of that bump on the corner, that's gonna be a lot
It's actually
easier.
Dan's suggestion, just to put credit where it's.
Yeah.
I think the next step for the city is that, you know, you go ahead and get those bids and we need that number, right?
Yep, okay.
And then we have to sit down with the powers that be and figure out, you know, what
Yeah.
you guys are gonna pay and what we're gonna
Right,
pay, and then
Absolutely.
the city council will just, you know, if we could have that stuff ready for the August city council
Okay.
meeting, then we could approve
When's
the
the meeting?
7th, I think it is. Is that
First
a Monday?
Monday, is
I couldn't remember.
Is it
think
August? No,
I think it's the first day of August.
I think it's the
Calendar,
7th.
I just got it.
Yes, it's the 7th.
It's the
Thank
7th.
you. And what time is it?
It's at 7.
Don't ask me, don't ask me what time the
I
meeting
need
is.
eye contact here.
Ah,
Thank
7.
you.
It's the
So,
7th.
so because, who
I
were-
mean, and if in fact everything comes together earlier than that, I mean, we could try to just call a special meeting to approve paying the bill. But,
and we have no bills to pay right now.
right, so that's the, you know what I mean? So that's the
But-
thing, is that if the school wants to go forward with it, no matter how much the city's gonna pay, then you can move forward.
Right.
But what the city commits to can only be done by the city council.
And we can't do that at city council until we have the bids to review.
Sure, absolutely.
The actual
Okay.
number.
So we're gonna start the process. I'm gonna ask Matt to please get this together and put it out there.
Well, we could do it without a bid. We could just say, here's how much money we're gonna give you. Period, before we even know what it's gonna cost.
Well,
But I think it
and
might
I
be
get that.
beneficial to know.
Well, I get that. I mean, we've
Right.
done it before. Because we have whatever, if we had bond money or something like,
Right,
go ahead and go up to 300,000 and then we could adjust it as, but at least that would get something started. So I get how that is. So these are the notes I have, that fencing and signage. We really want to work the city so that we can match what the city's doing. August 7th at 7 PM is your city council meeting. We need to do whatever we can to get you final numbers.
And I would-
or
I would
even
s-
a request for what you would like from us, you
Yeah.
know, if that will work, if you don't have, you know what I mean, just even like.
Yeah.
Here's
Can
what.
we negotiate? What do you got?
Or we can.
Right, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I think that both of us are, you know, not opposed to paying, you know, 50%, it's just that, what is 50%?
And if you have 50%, I mean, I could go back and say, we're looking at them, you know, helping in that true partnership with 50%. And we don't plan on going over 500,000. I can't imagine that fencing and lighting is gonna cost another 150.
Right,
So, you know, so. um,
Or we could at that point say, okay, we approve this much for the project. If we don't
Right.
have a number, and if it goes over that, we'd have to go back to another
And if
city
it,
council
right.
to get the additional funds if we.
and if it goes over and perhaps if we have the, you know, we can definitely work this out.
Yeah.
To make it work, but, you know, 50% would be a beautiful thing. And, that's really huge for us to know too, because. Again, we want your partnership, but we don't want to squeeze the city dry either, but we don't want to squeeze the school
Right,
this
no.
district either. So,
I remember there was one other thing for the planning that you touched on it a little bit, but there right now is the entrance onto Grand River. And there was two from the parking lot.
This one,
Yep, and then there were two over here and
yeah, there's one
there.
at there and
Yeah,
That
and we
currently
eliminated
is.
one of them. So we're eliminating
we're just gonna have one.
just one into the parking
Off
one
of
entrance
yeah.
off of Woodhull.
None,
Yep,
none,
Not on Grand River, not the
Not into
buses,
that lot.
right,
not into that lot, right?
into the new lot.
Yeah, I think getting rid of this one especially.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You have these two real close
Yeah.
to there, it's really tight.
Well, there's no reason to have it. I mean, it's not like you're going way out of the way to get out of that parking.
Yeah. And just, and the other note I have, Paula, you're working on the 5x20 piece of land. And as the construction, when they say go,
Yeah.
they'll work.
Yeah, I'm
You know.
pretty sure I mean, I don't think they're gonna have to worry about it.
Yeah.
What I picked up, but I feel like, you know. we gotta cross that T somehow.
Yeah, and if we can find out who's in it, then good, and that's why we hired the experts to do
Yep.
it.
They should be able to have a contact with those. I mean, I should be, I could probably make a card and call the Daystar and find out if it's theirs. But as far as Frontier goes, that's a whole nother.
If you can't find out who it belongs to, or you know what to do with it, or you know, any getting answers, you can get a company that can quiet the title on it, and just pay them and they clear the title on it.
There you go.
But if they can give it to us for $1, we're all happy.
That'd
Yep.
be easier.
All right. So that's what I got for you, guys, to see. We're gonna leave this here, show it off. This
That's
is-
good
this
because
is-
it's mine.
Oh, well.
You can take yours if you want.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Seriously, put it in the front room, let people look at it and see it, because nobody knows the school, the school administrative offices are open during the summer, but nobody knows that.
That's true.
So, so but if they're in here doing whatever, they might see it, go, oh, what's that? It's Project Paved Paradise and put up a parking lot. And if you could label all things for that, that would be fantastic.
Hmm.
And it would kind of make me just go, what the hell is she doing? So,
Thank you.
all right, thanks for letting us
Thank you.
come in
Appreciate it.
and
Thank
go
you.
out. I do appreciate it. See ya.
Okay, so now should we have a motion and make a recommendation for the council that we move ahead with this, or do you think we don't? I mean, based on funding,
I mean, basically, it was just a courtesy to show the planning commission
Yep.
that, and I feel
Okay.
like it is a necessary.
oh yeah,
But there is no reason you guys couldn't make a motion and say you're in support of the current
Yeah.
plan. But as far as cost goes, that,
we don't know, so
Right.
yeah, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks.
appreciate it.
So I mean, if you guys want to make a motion that you're in support of this project and, whatever, then that's fine.
If you don't, that's fine too.
I definitely am in support of it.
Yeah.
If the motion is necessary, then
Yep, I'm for it.
I make a
There you
motion to,
Clear up a lot of congestion to the school and.
All right,
clean up
what's
that
your
corner.
motion,
move forward with the project and wait.
recommendation to the city council? Okay,
Yep, and I'll second that motion.
okay, any more discussion on it?
I don't think it's pretty good.
Okay, all in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All right. Next item of business, City of Perry Master Plan.
There's not really much to talk about here, just more informational that they're gonna start working on their master plan. And it's a legal requirement that you notify neighboring jurisdictions. So when we're doing our master plan, we would have to do the same thing. So if we were working on something that we thought would affect Perry, or if we thought Perry could do something that would help us. Sometimes, like while they're in the planning process, it might be a good idea to attend their meetings. Or to send them a letter and say, here's some of the things we're working on. Can you, but we're not really like connected with a sidewalk. We're not connected with a river. Really, it's not something probably that.
Courtesy, but nothing's gonna come of it.
Right, but sometimes, you might look at their plan and go, oh, I didn't know they were doing that, that could help us. So it would be a good idea when we get their plan to read it.
Yeah.
Peruse it, find out what they're doing, if anybody wants to attend their meetings while they're working on their master plan. Get some ideas, but it's basically a courtesy, so unless somebody has something that they think we should talk to Perry about, that's all that is.
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. Next thing, regional housing plan.
I am letting Miss Olivia handle this one.
Neat.
Okey-dokey. The state of Michigan has recently put out their first ever statewide housing plan. And so it is a strategy, goals and priority based plan to identify the causes of housing issues in the state. So the 8 priorities that they set out in this are equity and racial justice, housing ecosystem, preventing and ending homelessness, housing stock, older adult housing, rental housing, homeownership, and communication and education. And then these 8 key areas that they identified to my understanding, is where they will be allocating the funds that they then allocate to the statewide housing plan. But the way that they structured the plan is that the state of Michigan was broken up into regions. So we're a part of Region H, which is most of, I think, all of the north of Michigan, and then us.
Shiawassee County,
Yeah,
there was a couple other big counties in it,
Shiawassee County, Lapeer,
Genesee.
Genesee, yeah. So we're in their region. So Paula and I have attended 2 meetings so far. The first one was just with Shiawassee County to inform us of this plan just in general. And then the second meeting was with all of the stakeholders in Region H to go over the statewide housing plan. And then out of those 8 key areas that I just read, identified 4 that are most applicable to our region, that we will focus on over the next 5 years and track to see how we progressed. So the 4 that we identified as important are rental housing, housing stock, housing ecosystem, and communication and education. And then our next meeting is August 8th, which will be taking those 4 key priority areas and breaking out down like goals and ways to track hopefully positive movement in those areas and what we will focus on. So example, Paul is the head actually of housing stock.
I don't even know how that happened.
And then,
The region.
yeah, for the region.
That's
And I'm just included in the working group of housing ecosystem. So things that would be in our like goals under that big heading are like addressing workforce issues in construction and figuring out how to collect region-wide data on housing. So those 2 things might be in our priority areas under housing ecosystem. And I'm still learning, and I think everyone is, because it's the first statewide housing plan that Michigan had. Like how the funding, because there's a lot of funding for this housing plan gets allocated into each region and then each specific community.
Like
So-
they are talking a ton of money.
Yeah, so
They're gonna be funneling.
I'm not sure if Paula can better answer, but I'm not sure like how it will directly impact Langsburg quite yet. But we're been along for the ride and just learning a lot about it and trying to influence what is priority in our region. But as for like actual money allocation, I'm not sure exactly how it works yet.
And I think what will happen is, because right now what we're working on is the regional housing piece. And then once we get a regional plan together, I mean, we need to make sure Langsburg is mentioned in that regional plan. And the things that we feel we need here are mentioned in that plan. Because that way, when we go to ask for money, we can say, we participated in this process and here's the needs we have. And then hopefully some of that money will trickle to us to help build some much needed housing. And the education piece is huge because like boards like this and like the council and the DDA, not everyone, everyone can say, well, yeah, nobody can find a house and the prices are high, but why? And how do we correct that? And what, if we build houses, how can we put a quantifier on it? How can we tell what it means to us? You know, for us, it's huge for economic development. But one of the unintended incidents that could happen is we maybe get too many kids for our school then. So, you know, so then that can begin to create other problems. So you kind of got to work together to solve a bunch of problems. So,
We
you know,
have too many buses out the parking lot.
That's right.
right,
So
yeah,
here's a question, the mechanics of how it's gonna work, is it gonna be like a statewide database everybody can access or just Michigan? Because if everyone can access it, we could look into it and say, well, such and such a county is doing this, they're getting this kind of funding. You know, we can kind of do compares when it comes to getting
so do you mean,
funding for ourselves for things.
do you mean accessing the database for what funding is available
Each-
or what
Each
houses are
township,
available?
each township hopefully be able to look at that database to be able to measure from other counties as to what funding could be things
Well,
like.
hopefully within
ideas.
the plan that they do make, information available for that, but. I mean, I think that the housing issue is it's different to every region, right? So like, if you go to Owasso, the housing prices are half what they are here. You know, and it's just, and they have more homelessness, or they have, more low-income families that can't seem to find housing, We have young people that are looking for their first home. They can't get in one. We have a bunch of elderly people, and I mean myself in that you can't, that they don't want to live in these big houses anymore. So part of our ecosystem could be if we build something that these older generations want to move into, now we can open some homes up for these young people. And then in addition to that, the millennials, they don't want to live in a house with a big yard. They want smaller houses, smaller yards, and they don't want to have to mow them. So we have
That's true.
to figure out for us, like, I mean, I don't know if we have to do a survey for ourselves or, I mean, I feel like we need some specific data about housing for our area. And I don't mean Langsburg, the 1 mile. I mean, like probably our school district would be, helpful. And I know Sharon on our DDA, she does a lot of those studies and stuff, and she might be helpful with some of this, but I would like to be in line with a bucket to get some of that money, so.
Well, that'd be the key would be to find out, what are they funding, what's their target, the state.
Right, and I feel like the 8 things they listed, they know, I mean, they know what the problems are, they know that, we need to find out how many rental houses we need, how many people want to own a house. How many are homeless, and, we don't have some of those issues here. But we need rental housing, and we need some kind of housing for, first time home buyers, and we need housing for the elderly. I feel like just from working here, that sticks out, but I don't know how to put facts to that. So I feel like we are gonna have to, maybe within our own master plan, have a housing piece, which we probably do. It's probably in there, but we want to make sure it matches all this other stuff, because we go to apply for money and we can say that our city council, our DDA, our planning commission have all been brought up to speed and involved in this. And everybody's actively trying to figure out how to solve some of these problems, that we could make a case for the funding. I mean, I think that if we're putting up a house or 30 houses, I think that's gonna make a pretty big case. And then we're just gonna have to prove how we meet some of their boxes. And some people, the plan, it's like, I explain it like this: when we did the safe routes to school thing, we had to involve the school, and we wanted to get new sidewalks. Our goal was to get new sidewalks, not to make this route safer for kids to walk back and forth to school. I wanted money for sidewalks.
That was the best one.
And that was the only way to get to it. So you had to create your plan. How many kids am I gonna pick up on this route, and where can I get the most sidewalks? So sometimes you have to back into these things.
Yeah.
And it's the system. You have to work it. So. But so that is one of the things that we're working on. Great summary. Olivia did a great job.
And just the last thing, like Paula said, so we're creating the regional action plan with those 4 priorities, which is due to the state of Michigan, our finalized regional action plan, I think at the beginning of September. So like everything is moving pretty quickly from when we first heard about it to when that deadline was. So hopefully we'll have more information within the next couple of months.
And hopefully they don't wait 5 years to start funding that plan,
Right.
or everything's gonna change. I mean, if they wait
Yeah.
5 years, it's just silly. But we're actually, like, we went to that meeting in Lapeer, right?
Yeah,
A couple of weeks ago or whatever, and we were both like, we weren't even sure where we were getting ourselves into. There were 75 people there, and I ended up being in charge of the biggest damn group there was, somehow.
somehow, I think she volunteered.
No, I did not. What's his name? That Derek guy. He goes, well, she looks like a good candidate.
It's like at the auction, you blink or shake your head. Oh, sorry, you volunteered. That's
$1
it.
million.
So,
Real winner.
Well, that was just kind of a education, and if you guys have any thoughts on this process, or, housing or anything, just shoot it to us or whatever. We're just gonna keep working on it, and hopefully eventually get us
So this,
some money.
so this is a plan, like they analyze some stuff, put some needs together, to kind of figuring out what they need, but they haven't funded it yet. It's something that's like
Correct.
coming down the pipe
Yep.
later.
Yeah, I think they're requiring each region that they split the state into to also have a plan. And then I think they're gonna try to figure out how to bring it all together. And then maybe they'll allocate funds based on the needs that were identified. We're not sure about that piece yet, so hopefully this August meeting helps us understand that a little better, but. They told us only one person granted he could come, so I took two.
There you go. Sure.
Nobody complained, did they? Yeah.
All right. Next, site plan review, 300 Grand River, we've already covered that. Planning and zoning consultation services, so I don't know how many of you all know Pete Preston was providing us guidance for primarily the planning commission, although it was his son, Michael, for a while. Pete has tendered, I don't know if it's called his resignation, but he's no longer going to provide the city of Langsburg with that consulting services. So we need to find somebody else that can help with various things. So Michael, who did it for a couple of years, right?
At least, yeah,
Yeah, he's now with, I don't remember.
Spicer.
Spicer, right? Did you?
I
get a
did.
quote? And does it look good? Does it?
Yeah, he hasn't got me a price yet,
Okay,
but I think it'll probably be competitive,
Yeah.
so.
yeah. So the city council the other night, everybody that knew Michael thought that was a good option, right? And as long as so different company needed to get a quote, needed to figure out what the cost was gonna be. As long as it wasn't significantly different than what we're paying now, we kind of gave Paula the authorization to just go ahead and do that, all right? Now, if it's significantly more, then we're gonna have to go out and get bids, and we may still go with them, but. So, did I sum that up for you? Yeah. Yep, so.
And sometimes with like professional services, you're really looking more at qualifications. I mean, price does matter, but you could have somebody come in here and just, give you a really low price, but they don't know anything.
Right.
They don't have any experience, and so we're really small and we need that experience. If we're gonna reach out and pay for help, we want somebody who actually knows more than we do.
And Michael's familiar with Langsburg and knows what we've had going and
And
Yeah, I
he did
would
a
agree.
great job for
Yeah,
us when he was here.
price was not necessarily, but the approval process could be much easier if the price was about the same. as what we're paying, so. Okay, any questions on Pete? That. So. Planned unit development for 120 Railroad.
We really haven't made any more progress there. We're kind of waiting to see if we get some funding to do the cleanup that's required there. So just kind of keeping it on the agenda so that we know it's still moving, but we are kind of in a little bit of a stall right now. So I guess
One of the recent meetings we had, I think we discussed when they presented that they were hoping to move forward with at least half of it until.
Yep.
Meanwhile, the other portion we're waiting on funding and stuff for the cleanup, but like, unless I'm misunderstanding or not remembering correctly, are they still moving forward with developing the one half? And then so what is that timeline?
well, we were all waiting to see if we got this grant to do the cleanup first, because if we clean it up, it's kind of hard to start, building houses and doing all that at the same time. So I think I'm not really sure how they will move forward if we don't get that grant with cleanup or what will happen. So we just don't know yet. Nothing has happened, no more movement whatsoever. So
Do we know like when, like, is it like 6 months from now or something, or unknown? No.
we should know soon. I mean, I thought we were supposed to be notified already, but we haven't gotten any notification, yes or no. So
I don't remember. Do we have a cost for the cleanup?
I think it was 168,000 or something like that.
Yeah, so it's pretty important.
Yeah.
For somebody to pay for that. So.
Yep. And if that doesn't work, I'll just start working on Eagle. So
Yeah.
there's money there.
All right. Any other questions about the 120 railroad? Promoting public inputs.
You guys want me to keep that on here?
That was our
QR
QR
code.
code and the question we never.
Yeah,
never
so
finished it.
did we send it back to the other boards? I think in our last month, April, I thought we sent it to the other board for feedback. Did anybody else come back with other comments or
Not
questions?
that I'm aware. Did you get any?
Not really much of anything.
Mm,
So
We got a few little things, nothing.
Right.
where do we go with it? But can we move it forward or like what?
Sure.
Or,
We need to figure, we need to decide, we need to finalize the questions,
Okay.
what we want on those. We need to then figure out how we're gonna do it. I think Survey Monkey is what you guys need, right?
Olivia, for promoting public input, Survey Monkey our best option?
I've never used. Survey Monkey, so I'm
Oh,
not
see,
sure.
see?
do you have alternative?
Like, are we talking about a QR code and then
Like just a quick survey for a few things and I mean, I think.
for the QR code that I recently made for going out to Sleepy Hollow? I did a Google form and then attached a QR code to it. I think Google is just easy because I don't know, everyone has access to Google.
But then with that.
Compile the
compile
results and
answers,
stuff for
yeah.
you.
Yes, and if not, I think that there's an easy transition between Google Forms and Google Sheets. In like making a spreadsheet and whatnot. But I mean, I've heard of Survey Monkey, I've just never used it, so I think. Either way, I don't have I don't know that enough about either one of them.
So, would you want Olivia to like work on the questions and try to get us like some questions back for the next month's meeting?
Yeah,
Yes, please.
if we could take the list that we had, right? And
Yeah,
polish it and put it in a proposed. Whether it's Google Forms or Survey Monkey.
I want you guys to kind of tell her what you're looking for, what.
So, yeah, so we have I was in Vernon or London a few months ago and saw like a little road sign, I guess, and it had a QR code and we could scan it. And when you scanned it, it brought you to a website for anybody in the town or anybody I was driving through and saw it. And would allow you to answer questions about the town, like where do you reside and then what are your interests and things like that. It would give us a good, we were looking for input from residents of the city and or the different townships even, I guess, just to. It's been a while since I looked at the questions. I don't remember what's on them, but to just try to get some input about the city and it kind of tied in with like some of the things we were going over on our master plan. So I think
So we'd want a series of questions that would help. Put the user, if you will, into a specific category, right? So we would know that, hey, we want to. Raise taxes to be able to do this, that everybody that voted for that is outside the city, right? Whereas everybody in the city said, no, don't raise my tax. That type of demographics, right? To be able to determine who's saying what, but then what they think would be a good thing for the city to do. Where do we have deficiencies that could be improved? What, those type of things is what we're looking for, so.
I'm thinking maybe we can incorporate some housing questions. With what else we have going on.
Yeah, I think it'd be a great idea to
Yep.
kind of
I
tie
agree.
into what we were just talking about. See what the interests are in the community for
You
senior
have the
living.
old one, Paula?
I do, I have all this stuff, so we can go over it and just like maybe bring them at what we actually think we should do as a survey next time and
Perfect.
go from there.
I think the goal too with like anything that we're asking is to not make it seem as though we're promising
Yes,
anything that we're asking about, I guess.
Uh-huh.
So we were selective and putting not putting certain things on there as well. We don't want to like spark too much discussion, I guess, about things that may not never happen.
right.
And some of it was the goal to like see if our master plan is still in line with what we're actually doing. So I know you reviewed the master plan, so maybe from that. You could like just go through some of those goals and objectives and see what questions we should ask to figure out if we're still in line with that.
Thank you for your help on that in advance.
Okay, property maintenance code. Did everybody do their homework?
I did.
I had a couple ideas.
Go ahead.
Not something that we haven't mentioned before, but I don't know what is in the code specifically about it, but the people that park on their lawns regularly. Something about. Something that needs to be mentioned about uniformity and just. Not that it's rednecky or trashy, that's not the point. The point is, if a lawn and it's. You know, it's like we're in Hazlet, where I used to live. You'd probably have a ticket by the end of the day. Like, do we have a one and done policy? You know, one warning and
We
done, or do
don't
we have
have
a?
anything.
I think that would be a good idea to have, you know, like have those like a bright yellow sticker that you see on the side of the road, an abandoned vehicle. The police will come and tag it and say you have 15 days to remove it or something.
Yeah.
Like, could we have a one and done policy? You've had a warning, it's noted.
Right, but
Okay.
first we have to create an ordinance that says you can't park on your lawn.
Yeah, I
Right.
just think it's a
No.
good idea.
So,
No, and
So
I
it's one of
agree.
my ideas.
let me, yeah, I think we need to come up with what we want to try and enforce, and then we need to figure out how we're gonna enforce it.
And is there a current property maintenance code? Well,
We do
what's-
not have a current.
No.
property.
Okay, so we're looking at.
So they're going to-
Trash, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, we're looking at things like, you know, lawns too long and. Do you
Well, we
warn
have that
people?
one covered.
Do you warn people? How many times do you warn? them? All that.
I think
Junk laying around.
piggybacking off of that is.
Yeah.
This blocking the sidewalks as well, possibly, and I think that would be worth thinking that. Going for walks, and bike rides with my daughter, stuff into them.
That is covered.
Do you see a lot of
We
that
could enforce
when you
that.
go out?
We could enforce that you can't park on the sidewalk right now.
Would, if things are already covered, would we likely not put them in the new ordinance then?
Well, it shouldn't be necessary to put it in the new, but we could always, mention that, you can't park on the sidewalk or whatever. We
Sure.
could add it to our newsletters and promote it a little bit, like don't park on the sidewalk or you're gonna get,
Yeah.
ticket, But,
I mean, it's one thing if it's like a quick, like even parking on the lawns, if you're having a party or whatever, but every once in a while. you
Yeah,
get a couple-
temporary is always
couple
fine.
visitors. But if you have like people that are routinely parking and ruining the yard.
well, so we have that issue where we don't allow a second driveway on single family residences.
Yeah.
Which I think, in some ways, because some of these houses are so close together that you really don't want a second driveway. But people are forcing it and just parking in their yard. So the other problem with that is they're driving over sidewalk that isn't built to be driven on.
Yeah, you're correct.
Right.
Trucks
So-
are correct. Yeah.
If you park in your driveway, you're driving over sidewalk that should have been poured thicker. So you won't crack it. But if you park in your yard, you're driving over sidewalk that wasn't poured that thick.
Yep.
And then who's responsible to fix the sidewalks? We are. So by not taking care of that problem, we are creating ourselves another one. So I agree with that, the lawn parking, something, but what that looks like, I think we gotta talk about. Like if you're saying, well, it's okay if it's temporary, well, is it okay ever to drive over the sidewalk when you're not supposed to? So it just kind of leads to some other questions, but I totally agree with that.
I had to.
So I'm gonna ask you a question, and Randy, don't take this, your example of parking across the sidewalk, is that a property maintenance issue, or is that a?
Safety.
No, that won't need to be on the property
No,
maintenance.
because it's already covered, I'm more trying to get a,
Yeah,
it's not a property maintenance, it's a, hey, they shouldn't do that, I don't know. what
Sure, I
it is.
think I
Like
understand.
code
Yeah,
enforcement.
I mean, I think it's a good idea, I'm just saying, yeah, right,
yeah, that is definitely code enforcement.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay.
And that, but if you had brought that up and I said, oh, we don't have anything on that, then that'd be different, but we do.
right.
So that is an issue that we can recommend we take care of.
I think we, we mentioned this a couple of meetings ago. Do we even have a code enforcement officer or just the police whenever
Police
they're,
department.
whenever they're asked to, they'll go in and inspect? Okay.
Yeah.
Was it 7 vehicles or something, 7 that were towed? But Dan,
Tagged or something, I don't.
they were pretty active on it last month, at least in regards to vehicles.
Making a noticeable change. Oh, my car's gone. You
Um,
can get it over here.
one idea that I had was for, in regards to landscaping, I know we already got the length of grass and stuff, but do we have anything on there for? Like keeping bushes or trees trimmed and out of the way of the sidewalks.
Line of sight.
Street corners, so like being able to walk down the sidewalk, without having an overgrown bush.
There, we do have that covered. we would just have to enforce that.
Okay, because that seems like a property maintenance. More so, but I think that's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm, yeah.
Yeah, so if it's on their property and it doesn't encroach onto the right of way or on the sidewalk. Then that's the maintenance code. Do you see what I'm saying? So the maintenance code would be within their own property. If they're encroaching on the right of way or our sidewalk, then they're in violation of the law. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it's already, I'm saying it does affect property maintenance, but that affects something that we can already take care of.
Sure.
That's all I'm trying to
This is a
say.
learning curve and things are bringing it,
And
That
that's,
was my question.
and that's fine. It's just already handled. We just need to
which is
figure
good.
out.
What about encroaching on buses? Pulling around, no, just.
Put the stop signs out, right?
I don't know how to like, like, a good way to put this, but basically like, I found this on the East Lansing website, and it's pretty basic, but like litter, keep your lawn free of trash. And with that kind of like anything that's like inoperable, like motorized vehicles.
Just clutter, maybe. or-
Clutter, but like, how do you define that?
Well,
It has a motor, but like not necessarily a vehicle, like, but a push mower, if you have like 6 push
Yeah,
mowers
we
in your
discussed
yard.
it, couches, all these other things that are just laying around.
That's
people's
another
yards.
thing, they, on the East Lansing website, found some really good stuff on East Lansing, outdoor furniture, do not leave indoor furniture outdoors, like, pretty simple. Indoor furniture shouldn't be.
I think our code is just not that specific.
Yeah.
It just says, trash, or it says anything that annoys your neighbor, or, I mean, it's old, our
How do
charter
you
and our
define that?
ordinances are old, so. I mean, we could bring those, like some of those that we have. To you guys, and you could review the ones that we have, like,
You were revamped,
Update and make it more specific so that people that
Yeah.
realize that
Modernize
they're
it.
actually in violation.
Right.
Yeah,
Think
modernize
they're okay
things,
or they're
do it.
not.
and then, we could start out by putting it in a newsletter, sending people, hey. And make sure you do this, this, and this, and then the next newsletter says, okay, we're still having a lot of people not follow this, so, we could do something along those lines, but maybe that's a good place to start, is some of the things we do have. But like, so far, I know that the lawn parking is not covered. We don't have that covered. Dan has looked, and he says we don't have anything to keep people from parking on their lawn. So if that is something we want to do, then we have to figure out, which it's probably not reinventing the wheel. I'm pretty sure we can just rip off and duplicate from somebody else.
Because that's in other communities, no parking for vehicles on
And
the
with
lawn.
that too, like, we're bringing up specific additional examples, but you had already. The knowledge, I believe, of like finding other cities.
Yep.
ordinances, Right, so I
Yep.
mean, these are only things to add to, like,
Yep.
we've already found some good ideas to run with and.
So there was,
to make our own.
and I don't know exactly. So the school, the road that goes in front of the elementary school. what is it?
Prospect.
Prospect. You go west of there, there's a house. And halfway down, they think they did have a circle drive
Okay, that's third north.
and they, but, yeah, but
Because
they,
at
they've
Crum
cut,
Street, third north goes this way, so
Yeah.
now you're going that way. So,
yeah,
okay,
so.
Yep.
And they cut off the second driveway, but the driveway still goes in front of their house and goes all the way over. I mean, is that something that we wanna? I mean, they're technically not. Breaking the rules because they don't have the second driveway,
they don't have a second entrance onto,
second entrance.
right.
But it's basically the front yard.
So what happens is that when they turn in their plans to build a new home, then we approve them or don't, right?
yep.
So we approved that plan, but it did not have that circular drive on there.
I get it, right,
So-
yeah.
They are in violation of their plan.
Mhm.
So what happens is, we could start enforcing those things.
But I guess that's my question. Are they? Because they don't have, I mean, they put grass down and they don't have the second driveway. I mean, the driveway goes around like it's gonna go out, but it doesn't.
Right,
They
and I
use it, but
understand,
it's
I
not
understand what you're
actual-
saying, but
Yeah.
I also approved that.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
when that house came in,
Yeah.
like, so the garage was here and the
Yeah.
driveway was out.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, now the garage is here and the driveway goes like
yeah,
this.
yeah,
That
yeah,
wasn't on the plan.
yeah, so okay, so
So
that's
they
still.
did something completely different
Different
than they
rules.
told us they were gonna do.
Got
You see what I'm
Yep,
saying?
yep, oh,
And-
that was what I
Then you
was,
run into the problem too, if somebody approved it, gave them an occupancy permit, and probably shouldn't have, if they were gonna make an issue, it could have been them.
Right.
So that's,
So we have been,
Well,
we do have information where we told them that they could not have that second, because then they just went and did that. They came and asked us, we told them they couldn't, they did it anyway. And so we've kind of been fighting that one a little bit, but.
Yeah.
And I agree with at
they
what,
knew upfront they shouldn't have done.
correct, they did. And, you know, then this was, but then they go, well, we can just park in our front yard, and
yeah, essentially.
how do I argue
that's-
with that?
Right, that was kind of where I was getting at.
Right,
It's parking lot. Now, it's not great. I mean, they're not parking on the grass. They're
Street.
parking on a driveway.
It's on Third North Street.
yeah. If you go down Chrome, it's the first house right there
Somewhere
at
there,
the
yeah.
end, isn't it? Or is it the next one? No, I think it's the first one.
I don't.
Anyways, if you go down Chrome and you turn left away from the elementary school, it's on your
Yeah.
right. First couple of houses there. So
Oh,
they're house barns,
Yeah.
and then they built a new,
Yeah, I know right where that is. at.
Yeah.
yeah, and they built a new one, and then when they built the new one, they flipped the garage. But that's not what the plan
I know
showed.
exactly how you're talking about, and I can't picture the driveway situation. So
Yeah,
I'm near that every day.
I mean, it's like they have the driveway going around, but it stops at the sidewalk, doesn't go across the sidewalk to the road.
Do they still drive? Is it-
There's no driveway.
I know.
Yeah.
Is it like
I'm sure they
being-
still
is it
drive.
still being
I wouldn't doubt it.
That's their turnaround, yeah.
tire lines?
people make workarounds. I mean, it happens, and you know,
So this isn't one that, an example of one where they did it 20 years ago, now we're trying to fight. I mean, this happened 2-3 years ago.
They just did it and knew it. They knew they were budgeting.
correct.
Did they ask to do that driveway like that originally, or
No.
just never asked, it just did?
No,
Well, see,
they came in and asked us if they could have a circle drive, and we said no, but that was after we had already approved the plan for their new house, and there's, you know, whatever. And then we said, no, you can't do that, and then they asked some questions, and then they're like, well, we can just park in our yard? I'm like, well, I mean, what do you do?
For now,
Technically, yes.
someday maybe not.
And I do think that would solve some issues, but who knows, on unintended consequences, it might create something else.
have any other-
Unfortunately, we can't think of everything.
Do you have any other examples or things for the?
Well, that was the one I took the grandkids on golf cart rides and went by that and I'm like, it's weird. So, I mean, the other thing I would think is like siding half on, half off, right? That's something.
So like,
Is that
General make.
like uniformity or certain standard.
No, more like, hey, I've got 4 pieces that are not on this one side, right?
Yeah.
You gotta be careful of somebody that's working on replacing sidewalk, so siding is just taking them a while, but
But still, like, we have that house down here, and the guy got the scaffolding out, that stuff's been there for over a year, it's like, you know. Yeah, it's on
West
Lang,
side.
it's on Lang Street,
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
and, you know, so, I mean. I think they should be given a reasonable amount of time to clean it up, and if not, we clean it up. Because the neighbors are constantly complaining, and then, you know, we have houses that. You know, clearly, you know, aren't taking care of like their windows, say they have boarded up windows or a fence that's falling down or things like that. I mean, I think of those like as property maintenance issues.
Yeah, for the house, like, they got scaffolding, so that's the building permit required type of work, but it expires.
Well, the great thing is that Shiawassee County extended it for them. And we were like, what? They haven't done anything, so I don't know that it's gonna get extended again. He did get a vehicle that I think got towed. Or he finally got it out of there before it got towed, but, you know, we contacted him and then the county extended his building permit. And we called the county and said, don't do that again, because he's not working on anything, he's not doing it, you know, and so. But sometimes it's a lot of hand holding.
Right.
But I don't know, that one is a problem for sure. That he's not getting his stuff done, and I think at some point push is probably gonna come to shove there.
That's long enough, nobody works on it, and it's gonna become a permanent eyesore, that,
Yeah, actually.
and a safety issue, I mean, that stuff can't stay out there forever, and it can start falling apart.
Yep. And it's been there a bit. But yeah, I'm thinking siding, boarded up windows.
Fences, another good one.
Like general repairs.
And state of disrepair, yeah, something about state of disrepair
Like,
covers a lot of ground. Or, you know, something that's not finished yet or something that's falling apart, it's all in that bucket.
And I think that, you know, it might be good to work with somebody from the DDA on the downtown area for a separate property maintenance code. Cause like, for instance, we want our buildings to not look modern, right? We want our buildings to fit the historic preservation. I mean, I don't think we wanna go wild and say they can't put in regular windows or whatever, but it would be nice not to allow siding downtown, like, so that they don't look like just like, I mean, it's not there now, but Pete's building got redone and the siding was actually going this way instead of this way. And so it looked awful, you know, and it just doesn't fit in. And then like we have a guy down there with boarded up doors and windows and that looks terrible. It just shouldn't be allowed.
Right.
It doesn't fit what we're trying to accomplish.
what's going on with the Veterans Hall?
That's the one I'm talking about, that, they bought that building well before I was here. And it has sat vacant all that time and really, I guess nothing, I mean, he thinks that he's done stuff to it, so it's hard to say like what he thinks is in tip top shape and what I think is in tip top shape.
It's not bringing anything to the community or the downtown. right?
All right, yeah, right, and I think that he would like to sell it, I think that, you know. His wife died and that he's getting older, I don't think they're ever gonna do anything with it, it's just that,
So the library.
how do we move that?
Buying that 2 years ago,
There's too much to renovate.
there was too much to that.
A lot of people bite off more than they could chew, that's for sure. I've done a project or two where it's a lot more than you think it was.
You know, they bought it and they were gonna open a restaurant or something, and then I don't think a restaurant ever was in there, to my knowledge. And then the roof leaked, and I don't think there's any power to the building. I don't think there's running water in there, I mean. Maybe we could at least require that you have to have running water and power, you know,
That's a good roof, the building's gonna fall down, don't you?
right.
Then affects the connecting buildings too.
And then it is tough because in a downtown like ours, those buildings, some of them had shared walls and. I
That
don't know,
specifically shares the wall of the library. Or- no.
I don't know if there's a division or, you know, but yes, they have like adjacent, but I don't know if each one has their own supporting. I have no idea.
Get over there and look at it. 'cause a
Yeah,
lot of
I don't
times
know
they
the
have,
old
like,
architecture. I'm not
yeah, a lot of
sure.
times they're brought together on the front to look like one building, but you got a little gap in between, but not always. So.
And I think that on the other side that, Pete's building on the other side of that, no,
No,
Landcor's building is, and there's like a shared stairwell there.
the
Like
red
right
building,
above the physical therapy place, and they have a couple of apartments up there, and I think there is a shared stairwell, and you can see in there. So I'm thinking that side definitely shared wall, but I don't know for sure on the library side. But things like that, you know, would be great to be able to prevent that from happening, so that, you know, at least the windows and stuff weren't boarded up and that, you know. I don't know. It's not an easy venture, for sure. It's not easy to enforce it. It's not easy to tell people that they have to do something that they don't want to do.
Well, it's also nice to go through other little towns, like perfect examples would be like Marshall, Michigan. You drive through the big square, just has how it's been for the last probably 100 years. All the buildings are all look very uniform. There's, you know, the brick is painted, there's gingerbread on a lot of the wall, a lot of the entrances and porches. I mean, you drive through there, everything is uniform. It's nice.
They
So maybe-
definitely must have a maintenance code.
Yeah, maybe something along the words of keeping in the spirit of traditional lanes for downtown region, you know, traditional architecture. Yeah.
And I think the DDA, you know, last they met, I feel like they talked about a maintenance code and that the planning commission was working on one, but I feel like involving someone from the DDA for the downtown would be good when we start to really work on it.
What's a different set of
Yeah,
issues?
for sure.
I mean, some of the issues
Absolutely.
are the same, but
You know, it's like, you know,
Even a
we,
stone-based building that's for sale downtown, I think that could use it. We pay some.
which building? The Klotz building?
No, it's to the, between the hair salon and the one on the end, the tripod. There's like, it's got like a stone. front to
oh,
it.
yeah, the ones that's for sale again now.
Bellin's
Yeah.
old
Yeah.
building. Yep, the old grocery store.
It
Yep.
was orange, there is orange.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, yeah, the orange and
green,
green.
it's like the
What even is that?
dated,
That was a
the
store?
dated
Yeah,
stone style.
So, when,
Could use
like,
a
back in my mom's day, that was pools. And they had a grocery store in there, and my mom worked there, and then when I was growing up, Bellin's bought it from Pools. And when the high school was right here, us kids would all walk down there and have lunch, and then when they moved the high school. I think, it really, hurt that business, 'cause, yeah.
To get out
Yeah,
there
and
back
then they
forth and back.
also, then, we built the IGA out here and some other things, and so I think that eventually Lanesburg just didn't need two grocery stores.
Right.
And he wasn't selling subs and, but he actually had like a meat, counter in there, and yeah, it was,
That's
it was just an old small town grocery store, so,
It'd be cool to see something happen. in that road.
What's been in there recently?
I don't think nothing for a couple of years.
There was a hair salon in there for a little while. There was a lady cutting hair out of there because Carolyn was in there before she moved back to where she is. There was a restaurant, but all of these are a while ago. I feel like it's been vacant. I think since I've been here pretty much. The lady that's in there right now that bought it, she's got a little jewelry shop in there.
Yeah.
And they talked about fixing it up and making, like an antique store or something, but, some ideas for a building like that, we've heard in our trainings and stuff is like, maybe like a mini market, like, so like a bunch of small vendors go in there and they each get like a cubicle and sell their wares or whatever, and, a place to like, just kind of start a small business, and maybe that business could move into a full building. So some of those kind of incubator situations, we've heard some of that stuff, so. Lanesburg definitely needs a restaurant. Hopefully Cinders is gonna come through with that pretty soon, and
Who is?
Cinders.
Are they coming back?
Well, right now, we're finishing 2 apartments upstairs, and we got a grant for. Some new equipment and stuff downstairs, so,
In the Cinders building?
yes, yep.
Okay, but that restaurant Cinders itself is.
Yeah, I think they're still gonna call it Cinders.
Oh.
But
Didn't know that.
they're gonna open it at first as a banquet center and maybe some evening dinners or whatever, but they don't really have the staff to run it yet, but they're gonna kind of run it like a banquet center. Great, so,
I didn't know that was happening.
Yep.
I've seen some movement in that building recently. I was kind of curious what was happening.
so,
Exciting times.
I gave my one idea.
there you go.
Your turn, guys.
Yours was right, bond parking.
Yeah, I tried. Yours is a.
That was the one thing that stuck out. Like I've been driving around the past few weeks and just look around when you're driving through. I'll zigzag and take a different route sometimes just to see what's going on with, the homes. And that's one thing that stuck out.
That and getting the trash out of the yards. I don't know how you say that.
Clutter. I
Which is
don't know.
not good. It's gotta be a way to, something to, that we can put in writing to enforce that. And I don't mean bags of trash. We all know what we mean, like
Right.
broken toys. And not.
Covered all the ideas that I had, one way or another. I wasn't sure if we had a code already, so I didn't.
Yeah, and I could try to bring that, what we have for like. I don't know what you wanna call it, but a nuisances or whatever, I'll look up what. Dan uses now to make people get rid of their cars and, if they've got junk in their yard or whatever, what he takes them for, so.
Probably public nuisance. That's a pretty big footprint. We could use a lot of things for that.
Yeah, so. We'll take a closer look at that and bring that to you guys or email it to you so you can look at it. All of it, if you go on our website and you go to our ordinances, they're searchable, so if you want to put in there, you know, the word couch or whatever, it would bring up any of our ordinances that have couch in there, or.
We also discussed that too, right? Some people had the bathtubs with all the flower pots around them, and even though it's awful to look at.
If it's
all
decorative,
within
and-
code, yeah.
yeah, I mean,
You know, like, try to micromanage everything, what they can do with their own house.
And then the people that built their fence out of skids and,
yeah,
you know, just,
there's
they're not-
certain things that you just.
most of us wouldn't do that, but it's within code.
I got a lot of complaints on that fence, but, well, there was.
I was gonna say something. I think I was coming out of Oakland to turn onto West to come towards here. And I couldn't see past all the bushes on the road. Exactly across the street from your place. I came out, I'd keep edging forward. Oh, there's a car. Oh, there's another car. It's like I couldn't see past the bushes. It's almost
Have the
like,
guys look at that.
it's almost like it's at that corner. Of Oakland and West. The bushes is
Directly across
overgrown
there,
with the ditches.
kitty corner to me.
It's directly across the street from your, well.
The
It's
east
on
side-
the other
east side
side
of
of
Oak-
West. Straight across from your, side window, I guess. You
Sure.
face your drive, right? You face your road, you don't face,
I am facing West Street.
oh yeah, it's straight out your front door. It's just overgrown past the ditch and it's just all out, and the chop and it'll be done. You
I'll
can
tell
see.
the DPW guys to take a look at it, if it's something they can clean up.
Just specifically in that house, I think he likes that privacy between his yard and.
It's about
But yeah, I mean, I don't know how.
10, 15 feet thick, but the overgrowth has come out over the ditch now. And it's, you have to creep and creep and creep to see. And we won't discuss
We
that
can't
one.
have
Or roundabout issue, I feel like sneaking out there with paint one night, just. That one spot that Dina and I were talking about, Meridian Road.
Oh, yeah,
All the roads intersect there.
yeah,
I don't see anybody. If somebody does, I will stop and give them a thumbs up. If they actually stop where the stop sign
Where
is.
they're supposed to.
Because there's no paint there. Even my daughter said, Dad, there's no line there. There's supposed to be a line by every stop sign. No, there isn't. Okay.
Number Meridian.
Meridian Road and Round Lake Road. If you're going south on Meridian, it's kind of a swooping corner there at the gas station.
Yeah.
Most people go about a car or two lengths past. So if you're turning on Meridian, you have to do like a button hook. You have to drive around them. Sometimes I think Pacelli said, I just drive on the other side of them and scare them.
it's really amazing we don't have accidents there. We don't,
But you discussed it. It's 3 different counties and nobody really decides because
Yeah.
it's 3 different counties.
well, 2 counties, it's
counties.
Clinton,
Oh,
it's
is it
Shiawassee
two?
County, but it's 4 jurisdictions. The city comes into there, Victor Township comes into there, Scioto Township, and then we have both
If
counties.
you guys dared me and gave me the equipment, I would sneak out there at 2 in the morning and I would paint a strip. Like right where the stop, like the white patch, I would do it.
So we got that on.
How'd that happen?
On camera.
Delete that part.
All right, anything else on property maintenance code? So Paula, you're gonna put some stuff together first for next.
Yeah, we can work on. some-
Yep. Yep, okay, perfect. Vacancy, Freidenberg. He's done November, but he's already resigned, so,
No, yeah,
yes,
so his term remains until November 2024.
Right.
And so we need somebody to fill it.
right,
And I gave you guys like what you need, basically, this person, because we already have 2 people that are not electors of the city, that this person has to live in the city limits. So that we're looking for to fill the spot.
The next person, so we can have on the board people that don't live in the city.
Yes, we just added you don't live in the city limits.
No.
And Dean does not live in the city limits,
Okay.
so we are allowed to have 2 that don't live in the city
But
limits.
next one has to.
And Freidenberg did live in the city limits, so his replacement, needs to do the same.
To try to find a replacement.
If you guys have anybody interested, if you know anybody, we'd like to get, that filled.
Yep.
So
Put some feelers out.
send them my way so we can get them signed up in August.
It's the guy across my neighbor directly across the street, he's been there a very long time. He's seen like 4 different owners go in and out of our house.
Really, who is it?
I forget his name. He drives a black truck. He's got a motorcycle.
In the White House,
Yeah, right across the street from me, correct?
dog and the visible fence.
The little dog goes. It's like 200-year-old dog. comes up there. It's the funniest thing. It's like, what are you doing, dog? It's got electric fence. It only goes so far. It's hilarious. Gosh, dang, that's funny. But he's a nice guy, is my point. He might be, I don't know what he.
Yeah, just ask anybody if they're interested and tell them what you do. Did anybody warn you?
No.
Okay.
All right, any other business? All right. Anything, got anything? All right, then move to adjourn.
All
Thank
righty.
you all.
Thanks for coming, Olivia.
Yes, tomorrow.
Thanks, Olivia.
I'm Scott.
Trying to remember.
Is she a